Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, the signing ceremony of the Memorandum of Cooperation between the Japan Federation of Labor and Social Security Attorneys Association and the International Labor Organization, ILO, is now open. I wish to extend our heartiest welcome to all of you. We are very delighted to have our friend of the ILO in this ceremony using a video conference system which connects this room and Geneva. I am Shunichi Uemura, a member of the Globalization Promotion Special Committee of the Federation. I will serve as the master of ceremony for today's program. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the great honor to introduce to you Mr. Vic Van Buren. He is the director of the Enterprises Department and the signatory of the memorandum. Mr. Van Buren will now address you from Geneva. Mr. Van Buren, please.
Mr. Ono, President of the Japan Federation of Labor and Social Security Attorney Associations, Mr. Akiyama, Deputy Assistant Minister for International Affairs of Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare, Ms. Taguchi, Director of the ILO Office for Japan, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to be with you for the signing ceremony, albeit I'm very far away from you, on the Memorandum of Understanding between the ILO and the Japan Federation of Labor and Social Security Attorney Associations. As you may well know, the ILO, represented by governments, workers and employers, has been promoting social justice and internationally recognized human and labor rights since 1919, with a firm belief that social justice is essential to universal and lasting peace. The ILO celebrated its centenary last year and adopted an ILO Centenary Declaration for the Future of Work. Better compliance with labor and social security legislation is fundamental, not only for workers' welfare, but also for developing sustainable enterprises through better industrial relations and trust between employers and workers. Japan is the only country that has ratified the ILO Social Security Minimum Standards Convention number 102 and Employment Injury Benefits Convention number 121. I well know that professional advice and support of labor and social security attorneys has substantially contributed to the success of achieving the coverage expansion of social security and legislation and compliance of enterprise and workers in labor and social security legislation. I would like to commend Japan's success and belief similar systems of public and private partnerships will substantially contribute to a better coverage of enterprises and workers under labor and social security legislation. Extension of the coverage of workers and enterprises under labor and social protection and improved industrial relations contributes to achieving decent work and sustainable development goals, which is needed at this time. I'm happy to know that Malaysia and Vietnam have participated in the joint ILO Shirushi International Roundtable in 2018, and now have shown a keen interest in introducing similar systems in their countries. This kind of interest comes from successful experiences of a pilot in Indonesia through collaboration between the ILO, JICA, and the Japan Federation of Labor and Social Security Attorney Associations. I would like to thank all participants for their efforts so far, and we look forward to our future collaboration based on the MOU that we have concluded. As the ILO, we are always honored to work with the Japanese.
Thank you very much, Mr. Van Buren. Thank you very much. Now, Ms. Akiko Taguchi, Director of ILO Tokyo, will greet you, please.
Mr. Minoru Ono, President of Japan Federation of Labor and Social Security Attorneys Associations, Mr. Shinichi Akiyama, Deputy Assistant Minister for International Affairs of Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare, Mr. Vic Van Buren, Mr. Hiroshi Yamabana. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon or good morning. First of all, on the opportunity of signing a memorandum between the Japan Federation of Labor and Social Security Attorneys Associations and the ILO, I would like to give all the stakeholders my deepest gratitude of thanks for your dedication to the project. Since the ILO was created in 1919, reflects the belief that universal and lasting peace can be accomplished only if it is based on social justice. We have been collaborating closely and actively with various related organizations, as well as tripartite constituents. Adopting a centenary declaration for the future of work in 2019, the ILO has been making a new start for the next century and looking for new collaborations with various institutions. The relationship between the Sharoshi Federation and the ILO has become much closer since the Sharoshi Federation adopted the Declaration of International Cooperation in 2008 to expand Sharoshi system to the world. In 2018, we co-organized an international Sharoshi symposium and roundtable discussion for the possibility of introduction of Sharoshi system in developing countries as a part of 50th anniversary of Sharoshi system initiatives. The ILO is certainly promoting social protection around the world. Although we see some advance, only 29% of the global population enjoys access to comprehensive social security. Only 45% is effectively covered by at least one social benefit. About 4 billion people in the world are left without social protection, and a large part of them are in Asia and the Pacific. Under such circumstances, I believe that with this new partnership, Japanese knowledge and experiences would be utilized to promote social protection all over the world, especially in Asia's newly emerging and developing countries. The collaboration between the ILO and the Federation will surely contribute to enhance the labor legislation framework and social protection schemes, which are fundamental bases for the realization of peace and social justice. Last but not least, I really appreciate that Sharoshi Federation has been steadily expanding its activities for the past 50 years and wish your continuous endeavors in many more years to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Taguchi. Now, I am pleased to introduce to you our guest, Mr. Shinichi Akiyama, the Director of International Division of Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare. He will deliver his address for this occasion. Mr. Akiyama, please.
Director Buren, Director Taguchi, and President Ono, distinguished guests, and ladies and gentlemen. First of all, on behalf of the Japanese Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare, I would like to congratulate today's signing of the Memorandum of Cooperation between the Japan Federation of Labor and the Social Security Attorneys Association and International Labor Organization. As Director Buren just told, last year, the ILO commemorated its centenary and adopted the Centenary Declaration. The ILO has been playing a very crucial role to improve the working conditions throughout the world. However, there are many challenges to tackle in order to achieve decent work globally. Social protection is one of the key components of the Centenary Declaration, which provides indispensable safety net for all the workers. In reality, there are still many workers in the world who are not covered by social protection. It is not enough to have social protection system or legislation just on paper. It is important to ensure labor and social security legislations are actually applied to as many workers as possible, including those in SMEs and informal sector. Needless to say, proper implementation by governments is of the utmost importance. However, it is also very useful for the public authorities to cooperate and work together with experts in this area, such as Japanese sharoshi system. From the perspective of the Japanese government, sharoshi has been very useful partner as a bridge between the government and companies and employers in Japan. In closing, I sincerely hope that the cooperation between the ILO and the Japan Federation of Labor and Social Security Attorneys Association will contribute to achieving decent work globally throughout better implementation of labor and social insurance system. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Akiyama. Today, we are receiving a message from Ms. Akiko Gono, a member of the ILO governing body. I will read it on behalf of her. Mr. Minoru Ono, President, the Japan Federation of Labor and Social Security Attorneys Association. Dear Mr. Ono, it is my honor and pleasure to have an opportunity to send you and the Japan Federation of Labor and Social Security Attorneys Association congratulatory message on the occasion of signing a Memorandum of Cooperation with the International Labour Organization. ILO, having more than 100 years history, has been making all the effort to protect and promote workers' working conditions and welfare, as was reconfirmed by the ILO Centenary Declaration in 2019. Not to mention, promulgation of labor laws themselves are not enough to protect workers on legally entitled their rights unless these laws are fully compiled. In this sense, the role of the Japan Federation of Labor and Social Security Attorneys Association is very important to implement the laws, especially for small and medium-sized companies. Also, it should be noted that the Federation is not only active in Japan, but also doing technical assistance to other countries like Indonesia, which is trying to introduce the system of labor and social security attorneys. I am sure that the Memorandum of Cooperation between your Federation and ILO will benefit to further diffuse the system of labor and social security attorneys in developing countries so that application of social insurance will be widely spread. I wish the Federation further success in your essential activities. With best regards, Akiko Gono, Governing Body Member, International Labour Organization. Now, Mr. Minoru Ono, the President of the Japan Federation of Labor and Social Security Attorneys Association, will sign the memorandum. I'd like to add that Mr. Van Buren has already signed it. Please prepare the camera. Thank you very much, President. Then, Mr. Ono will continue to give his address.
全国社会保険労務士会連合会の会長、大野でございます。こっち行きますか。はい。本日ここに ILO 本部からリック・バン・ビューレン、企業局長および、山花博企業局専門家、そして、田口明子 ILO 駐日代表、秋山真一、厚生労働省大臣官房国際課長をお迎えし、また ILO 労働者が理事の郷野明子様からはメッセージをいただきまして、全国社会保険労務士会連合会と ILO と覚書が締結できましたことを大変嬉しく思っています。日本の社労士を代表して心より御礼を申し上げます。
Today, we invite Mr. Vic Van Buren, a Director, Enterprises Department, the ILO, Mr. Hiroshi Yamabana, a Senior Policy Advisor, the ILO, and Ms. Akiko Taguchi, Director, ILO Office for Japan, and Mr. Shinichi Akiyama, Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare, Deputy Assistant Minister, International Affairs Division, Ministry Secretariat. We received a message from Ms. Akiko Gono, ILO Governing Body Member. I am very happy to conclude a Memorandum of Cooperation between the Japan Federation of Labor and Social Security Attorneys Associations and the ILO. I'd like to express my great appreciation on behalf of Labor and Social Security Attorneys, the Shaloshi.
ILO は昨年、創設100周年、社労士制度は2018年に創設50周年という節目を迎えました。ともにこれから新しい新たな時代を進もうとしているこの時期に、今日このような覚書を締結できましたことは、全国社会保険労務士会連合会にとって大変喜ばしいことでございます。
The ILO celebrated its 100th anniversary last year, and the Shaloshi system celebrated its 50th anniversary back in 2018. At this time, when we both are moving forward in a new era, it is a great pleasure for the Federation to successfully conclude the memorandum today.
社労士制度について説明するに際し、社労士制度創設前後の日本の社会保障を取り巻く状況を簡単に振り返りますと、1947年に労働基準法等の成立・施行と労働環境の土台が作られ、1961年には国民皆保険・皆年金制度がスタートしました。
In explaining the Shaloshi system, let me briefly go over the environment that has surrounded the Japan Social Security at the time of launching the Shaloshi system. Back in 1947, the Labor Standards Act and the other Industrial Accident Compensation Insurance Act were enacted, building a foundation for the labor environment. In 1961, universal insurance and pension systems started.
当時、日本の企業の 99% 以上は中小企業、小規模事業者であるため、労働社会保険諸法令の内容を企業や労働者が正確に理解をし、浸透定着するという点で課題が残りました。
At that time, more than 99% of Japanese companies were SMEs or small-sized business operators, so there remained challenges in terms of business and workers accurately understanding and establishing and permeating social insurance legislation.
同時に適用、徴収、給付の履行や透明性の確保といった観点で、業績機関への手続きが法令上、主に使用者の義務として規定されていることを受け、企業経営者の責任で行わせることについては、企業にとっては大きな負担となったことや、労使の良好な関係を構築するためには、労働社会保険関係法令に精通し、適切な労務管理の指導を行える専門家が必要となってまいりました。
At the same time, from the viewpoint of ensuring collection and payments and securing transparency, filing procedures with administrative bodies were determined to be an obligation of the employer. However, completing those tasks under the responsibility of corporate management put lots of a burden on corporations. Also, to establish favorable industrial relations, experts came to be necessary who were conversant with labor and social insurance legislations and who can provide necessary guidance in labor management.
このような社会的な背景や要請を受け、労働社会保険諸法令の国家資格制度として、1968年に社会保険労務士法が成立・施行され、今日では日本国内で4万2000人を超える社労士が活躍し、実務を通じ、労働社会保険諸法令の実効性の向上と国民生活や労使関係の安定に資する活動を展開してまいりました。
In response to these social background and demands, as a national certification system under the Labor and Social Insurance legislation, the Shaloshi Act, the Labor and Social Security Attorneys Act, was established and enforced. Nowadays, across Japan, more than 42,000 shaloshi operate, and through their practice, they contribute to the effectiveness of labor and social insurance laws, and also the stability in people's lives, and also labor management relations.
一方、世界の社会保障制度の状況を見ますと、例えば、インドネシアでは2014年1月よりアジア最大規模の国民皆保険制度がスタートしました。現状は労働保険、年金および健康保険については、労働者の多くが各制度の存在や必要性を十分に理解していないために、今でも加入率や保険料徴収が低調であることが課題として挙げられています。
On the other hand, if you look at the current status around the social security system, taking Indonesia for example, in January 2014, the Asia's biggest universal insurance system was launched. However, many workers do not fully understand the existence of the systems and the necessity of these labor insurance, annuity, and health insurance systems. Therefore, still, such issues as low enrollment ratios and low premium collection levels are observed.
これらの課題は日本において社会保障制度の骨格が確立した時代の課題と共通する部分があり、インドネシアの課題解決に向けては日本の社労士制度の知見を生かすことができると考え、連合会では2014年頃から ILO、JICA、厚生労働省と連携し、インドネシアの政府高官に対し、社労士制度を紹介したところ、その有用性に高い関心が寄せられたことから、導入支援が始まり、2017年にはインドネシア版社労士が本格的に導入されました。
These challenges have a commonality with those of Japan when the framework of the social security system was established. To resolve these challenges of Indonesia, we thought Japan's wisdoms of the Shaloshi system could be utilized. The Federation started to collaborate with MHLW and JICA in around 2014 to introduce the Shaloshi system to government officials of Indonesia, who showed great interest in their effectiveness. That was the beginning of support in introducing the Shaloshi system, and in 2017, the Indonesian version of the Shaloshi system was introduced in a full-fledged manner.
2015年には国連サミットで SDGs 持続可能な開発目標が掲げられ、各国とも持続可能で多様性と包摂性のある社会の実現を目指している中で、まさに社労士制度、社労士が日頃行っている活動そのものが持続可能な労働社会保障制度の実効性を担保する具体的なツールであり、世界に必要とされる普遍的な役割を持っていると考えております。
While in 2015, the UN summit adopted the SDGs and all the nations are aiming at realizing sustainable, diverse, and inclusive society, I think the Shaloshi system and their daily activities in themselves serve exactly as the specific tools to secure effectiveness of sustainable labor and social security system, and they have universal roles that are needed in the world.
本覚書の締結により、特に新興及び開発途上国において社労士制度が導入され、日本と同様社労士の活動を通じ労働法及び社会保障法の法令遵守及び労働者等の福祉の向上が図られ、政労使の対話が促進され、より良い労使関係の構築を通じた持続可能な企業づくり、社会全体の発展に向けた双方の連携が一層強化されるものと考えます。
I think this conclusion of the memorandum will help emerging and developing countries introduce the Shaloshi system, and just like Japan, they will improve compliance with the labor and social security laws, and will enhance the welfare of workers and others through activities of the Shaloshi. Moreover, that will facilitate tripartite dialogues and the development of sustainable companies through better industrial relations, and that will further strengthen their collaboration toward the development of the society overall.
また、このことは ILO が掲げるディーセントワーク実現に向けて4つの戦略目標である仕事の創出、社会的保護の拡充、社会対話の推進、仕事における権利の保障に大きく貢献するものと資料いたしており、ベトナムやマレーシアなど社労士制度の導入を検討している国々への支援をはじめ、今後も積極的に活動を展開してまいりたいと存じます。
I think that this will greatly contribute to the four strategic goals: create jobs, enhance the coverage of social protection, strengthen social dialogue, and ensure rights at work toward the ILO's decent work agenda. We would like to proactively operate, beginning with our support to those countries considering the introduction of the Shaloshi system, including Vietnam and Malaysia.
結びに ILO の今後のますますのご発展と、本日お集まりの皆様のご多幸とご健勝を記念するとともに、本日の覚書締結式を挙行するにあたりご協力いただきました関係者の皆様に、心から感謝を申し上げ、ご挨拶とさせていただきます。ありがとうございます。
In the end, I'd like to conclude my speech by wishing further development of the ILO and greater prosperity and health of everyone who gathered today. Last but not least, but I also would like to express my great appreciation for relevant parties who have rendered us great support for successfully realizing this signing ceremony today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ono, the President. Now, I'd like to invite Mr. Hiroshi Yamabana, Senior Policy Advisor of the ILO Enterprises Department. Mr. Yamabana will share with us the background of this memorandum from the viewpoint of the ILO. Mr. Yamabana, please.
Okay, thank you very much. This process of signing the MOU started with the ILO mission to Japan in late 2017 to explore collaboration with Japanese counterpart with the Global Employment Program in the Enterprises Department. During the mission, due to suggestions and arrangement of Ms. Taguchi, ILO Director for Japan, we met the Japanese Federation and Social Security Attorneys Associations. I already knew their collaboration with the ILO through the ILO Regional Office in Asia and the Pacific, and the ILO Office in Indonesia on the reform and the extension of Social Security coverage through a pilot of so-called shallow system to be introduced in Indonesia. 1 year later, in December 2018, the ILO and the Federation hosted an international roundtable to celebrate the 50 years anniversary of shallow system. And as already mentioned frequently, it more or less coincides our 100 years anniversaries. Countries with systems such as Italy, Romania, and Republic of Korea, as well as middle income and developing countries in Asia were invited to the event, where keen interest was shown from several countries, for example, Vietnam and Malaysia. Shaloshi knows very well realities and challenges for the extension of coverage and improvement of social security system and compliance under labor and social security legislations. I would like to thank all good development so far to all concerned. First of all, Japan Federation of Labor and Social Security Attorneys Association, and the Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare in Japan, and Japan International Cooperation Agency. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yamabana. Now, I'd like to call upon Mr. Ono, a board member of the Federation. Mr. Ono will make some remarks on the memorandum from the viewpoint of Sharosh.
It is our honor to be able to hold this valuable MOC with ILO. I'd like to, explain about, the processes, how Sharoshi Federation and the ILO will make this, MOU. But actually, all of, former, speakers already explained about the processes. That's why I suddenly changed my comment. It is actually in Japanese. It is comment about processes until now on. So I'd like to make it shortly. Firstly, as our president, Mr. Ono. Mr. Ono is different from my name, Ono. My name is small field, and Mr. Ono is a big field, like that. Anyway, when we started international relations, activity, was about 10 years ago, 11 years ago actually. Our former president, Mr. Otsuki, declared we should, move forward for the, international relations, Afterward, we have,
assisted, some of, especially, some of Southeast Asian countries, especially we have had, strong connection with the Indonesian government. And then I was invited to the, minimum wage forum in 2013 in Jakarta. At the time, Mr. Katsuda, today he's attending here, was dispatched by MHLW to Jakarta as a JICA policy advisor. Then we talked about current at the time Indonesian situation about social securities. In 2014, actually, healthcare, universal healthcare launched in Indonesia, and pension, universal pension system launched in 2015. So when we met, firstly, we discussed about how, to support, assist Indonesian, future expansion of the social security system with expertise of Sharoshi. Then voluntarily, Sharoshi Federation, Mr. Onishi, decided to dispatch Sharoshi, just me, but to Jakarta. And we often talked with Ministry of Manpower of Indonesia. And Indonesia side realized this is one of the important things, utilize maybe utilizing in Indonesia in the near future. Afterward, when Mr. Takasaki was there, he was also dispatched by Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare as a policy advisor of JICA. We persuade Social Security agent, BPJS, in Bahasa Indonesia. BPJS is a BPJS in English. They are agent of the implementation of labor insurances. And representative of that agent named Mr. Agus Susanto, suddenly, mentioned that they would implement this Sharoshi-like system into Indonesia. Afterward, JICA launched the project to assist elaborating Sharoshi-like system into Indonesia, and still going on until this July. And the result is quite, I would say good, because they already launched. It's not actually Sharoshi like itself, but some part is very similar, and they support, especially enrollment of Social Security, and also collecting premiums, appropriately is their role, and working quite well. I'd like to make sure the current percentage of the coverage in Indonesia, but Indonesian, as you know, Indonesian Social Security agent is already in a very serious situation. So I couldn't make it. But when we started supporting Indonesia, the coverage of the pension was just 4%. But currently, I heard it, I'm not sure yet, but they said 60%. I don't know yet. But anyway, like that. And I'm sure, it's, correct or not, the expansion is, quite, sure things in this moment. So
under this, coronavirus uncertain, environment, maybe a lot of, Indonesian ordinary people are already covered by, healthcare, and they are quite, secure, even compared to before 2014. I'm sure that. And from this, August, we will, launch a, new project in Indonesia with, JICA. JICA is, another very important counterpart of Sharoshi. Of course, ILO, has held a lot of, workshops in Jakarta regarding to Sharoshi. And next step is exactly, Sharoshi-like expert. We aim at fostering Sharoshi-like, license in Indonesia. Hopefully with ILO Jakarta and also JICA. JICA will launch that. And thanks to former December in 2018, symposium in Tokyo, the participants, some of participants, have been interested in, our Sharoshi system. One of them is Malaysia. So our, globalization committee's chairman, Mr. Kawamura, have been there a couple of times still. But they are very keen on, setting up a similar system. And that's very serious because they already sent, delegate to Indonesia to see PRISAI. PRISAI is one of the agents of Social Security. They already, researched about that, function of the PRISAI, but they actually didn't know PRISAI, benchmarked Sharoshi. After we visited, Malaysia, they realized that. And also, another prospective country which would like to introduce Sharoshi system is Vietnam. At the time, for the symposium, Vietnam attended. And I went to Vietnam to see some of, government officials of VSS, Vietnam Social Security. And only one time I visited, Hanoi last December. Then they really want to, set up similar system with Indonesian Sharoshi, Indonesian PRISAI, or KJKN, because their, very urgent, issue is collecting premiums. That's really hard for them. They're willing to enroll in Social Security, but they don't want to, they hesitate to pay premiums. That is the reality. So how to, persuade them? What is the very important things to enroll in Social Security? Even they are, quite fine. Nothing happened. That is one of the important role of Sharoshi. So I'm sure we can contribute to the, of course, Japanese small size corporation, but also Asian or other developing countries, or Social Security, not only Social Security, but also labor relations, industrial relations. Our function is, we say our name is attorney, but actually different from the Western style attorney. We are, regulated in our, Sharoshi Act. Article number 1, we contribute to the sound developing of the enterprises. Also contribute to the welfare of the workers. It's our mission. Somebody said, who pay for you? So depend on, but mainly we are paid by middle small size corporations. But we are dealing with before conflict stage rather than after conflict. That is a very important part. We can implement both of them for developing sound developing of the enterprises. Enterprises have to think about welfare of the workers. That is the point. So I would say our Sharoshi is a CSR type, not attorney, but our main function is preventive, unnecessary conflict between, company and employer and the employees. So making, decent working condition. I'm really looking forward to working with ILO. Thank you very much.
Now, Mr. Taku Kawamura, the Vice President of the Japan Federation of Labor and Social Security Attorneys Association, will make closing remarks. Please.
We are pleased to acknowledge today that the ILO and the Federation have agreed on a common understanding of enhancing mutual cooperation and have signed the Memorandum of Cooperation. I would like to thank all those who worked to conclude this memorandum. In particular, I would like to thank Mr. Vic Van Buren and Mr. Yamahana for attending the session early in the morning. This Memorandum of Cooperation means that the ILO and the Federation have taken a new start to advance the decent work agenda. The Federation will continue to make the best effort to achieve this task by bringing together the power of 42,000 members of Sharoshi throughout Japan. The outbreak and spread of the new coronavirus, the biggest challenge in the world right now, is not only a health crisis. The government and international organizations are today taking rapid steps to mitigate against the economic and social impacts of COVID-19. The Federation will also address this issue at the top of the agenda and conclude today's meeting with a declaration that it will actively work to address this crisis. Thank you very much for today. Let's face this coronavirus problem with courage and work hard to improve decent work and to establish peace and security in the world as soon as possible. Thank you again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kawamura, Vice President. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes today's program. Thank you very much for your earnest cooperation in carrying the ceremony. Thank you very much, Mr. Van Buren. Thank you very much, Mr. Yamabana.